All right, so get this. New numbers show the dream of home ownership is getting even further out of reach for some people in Metro Detroit.
I really feel for those families who are trying to build their lives. According to real estate data firm CoreLogic, the Detroit metro area has the fastest rise in home prices in the country. That's up 8.7% year over year. Number 2 is Miami, 3 is Charlotte, and St. Louis came in at number 4.
So what's leading this rise? For some insight, we want to bring in Bob Filka. He's the president of Michigan Home Builders Association. Bob, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so Bob, what about newly built homes? What are you seeing there?
Well, our production's been really flat in the state of Michigan for more than a decade, and we actually have a shortage of about 190,000 single-family homes across the state. Obviously, Southeast Michigan, it's that roar and that grit. People want to get into the metropolitan Detroit area, see more and more people buying homes in Detroit. But historically, for the last decade or more, since the last housing crash, we've not been building enough housing in our state, and particularly housing for workforce families. The average Michigander can't afford the typical home that's being built today. That's approaching $450,000 as a median home price for a newly constructed home. Wow. And in Detroit itself, the median sale price last year, I think, was right around $250,000. Wow. So obviously affordability is pulling more people into the Detroit area in terms of housing opportunities, and such with limited supply, those prices are going to rise. It's the old adage of supply and demand. When that demand grows and you don't have adequate supply, those prices rise, and we're seeing it in Southeast Michigan.
So what do you do, Bob? You got the homes that are already built, so those prices are jumping up. And then now what do the builders and the contractors do? I mean, obviously you have to pivot in this climate, but what are you doing?
Well, I will say, Governor Whitmer and Speaker Joe Tate and the leadership in the legislature have signed into law several new laws that allow traditional economic development tools such as tax increment financing and other types of tools to help underwrite the costs of workforce housing. And we're seeing those sorts of incentives really to make the math work, so that a builder and developer could actually make money on housing. Many builders will tell you they can't make money on a house that's below that $400,000 amount. So how do you make that math work? You start to utilize some traditional infrastructure and economic development programs to help drive those prices down. We're seeing that. I think there's a number of projects in the Detroit market that are going to be leveraging those tools. So I'm actually very upbeat about production rising. In fact, we're forecasting about 11% increase in production in Southeast Michigan over the next several months. And all good news for people to maybe have a better opportunity to purchase that home and to realize that that American dream of home ownership, it has gotten more and more challenging in our state and in Southeast Michigan. But
sure
to be quite honest, compared to the nation, we're in far better shape.
There's some startling numbers there, and thanks for your perspective, Bob. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.